This conference will now be recorded.
I'm gonna record it.
So on the income statement, the accumulated depreciation will be an asset. Is that what you said?
No, it'll be a contra asset, meaning it will have a credit balance. And so
Okay.
it's going to reduce the value. So right now, it's a balance of 40. And in the cost, so when we do the balance presentation, equipment will be in there at 250.
You get the 40,000.
The what?
How'd you get the 40,000?
Divided 5, 200.
Oh, all right.
Good question.
I have a question. So a contra asset is an asset that depreciates in value?
It has a credit balance. A contra asset
Okay,
normally have a debit balance.
right.
So we would
Okay.
be subtracting presentation. That balance sheet presentation,
Okay.
you're going to be showing a net cost of $210,000. On the balance sheet, it's 250 minus 40 gives you a net cost. So that equipment is going to come on at 210. Okay.
Okay.
Let's move on to number 10.
Supplies expense is debited for 15,000.
What you going to credit?
Supplies.
Now, with an asset that's very expensive, we credit accumulated depreciation. So we always know what the cost is. But for small items, small cost items like supplies, we're going to just take the money right out of supplies. We're not as concerned about knowing the original cost. So how much did you say that adjusting entry was?
15,000.
15,000. How we get 15,000?
We originally had 20,000 on hand, and at the end of supplies, we have 5 remaining. So I just did the subtraction.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, then what happened in number 11?
Dividends debited for 10,000 and cash credited for 10,000.
What are dividends? What are dividends? payments to the owner. So if you have shareholders, if you buy stock in a company, the company pays you dividends. It can't pay you, assuming you're not working for the company, it can't pay you a salary or anything, but they can pay you dividends, which is not an
It's
expense.
I got the definition for it.
Okay.
A dividend is a distribution of profits by a corporation to its shareholders. So you would have to own a share to get a dividend, and the company would have to be giving out dividends.
That have earnings to give out
Yeah,
the dividends out of earnings. So
yeah.
remember, you issued the stock here in the first journal entry. So you can't get your money back from the stock, but if the company makes money, you can pay yourself dividends. Okay? So that's number 11. What's happening number 12?
Cash for 150. Cash for 150,000 and accounts receivable for 150,000.
We don't want any inhumane treatment of animals on, because we're recording and people
Nah, she in the cage. That's why she crying.
okay. Payment on account payable. What happens here?
Debit accounts payable. Credit card.
We paid 50,000. What happens next?
Interest expense is debited for 20,000 and accounts payable credited for 20,000.
I have notes payable.
Notes payable and cash.
Okay, yeah, y'all right.
And that's what I have no payable in cash.
So we paid on the note 20,000. That's the principal. The extra amount, like we might have on a student loan, is the interest. That's 10,000. So you got to outlay how much?
Professor, it's not backwards as far as 10,000 to the note and 20,000 interest.
But it was a note payable. Okay. I got note payable 20, don't I?
Okay, I thought it was the opposite.
Payment on note payable 20. Interest.
Yeah, it seems like they're saying 20,000 in interest and 10,000 in company.
However y'all interpret it. Okay, 20,000 interest, 10,000 principal. You reverse it. Okay. And what's our final journal entry?
Got salaries expense. Debit for 50,000 and cash credit for 50,000. Shit, I hope so.
So what did y'all do with all these journal entries?
Put them on the
To the ledger.
To the T account.
Yeah.
in the T accounts?
Yep.
Okay, so this is something else here possibly, yeah. Okay, so are these the balances we have in the T accounts? How much cash y'all got now? These may be old. How much cash you all have now?
I had 585,000.
Correct.
So let me clear the contents because this is old here. And okay, so how much cash you got?
585,000.
Okay, so we're a little out of order. What's our next account we need?
Accounts receivable.
Yeah. All right, so let's see if we can put accounts receivable in here. How much is the account receivable?
150,000.
How much is inventory?
60,000.
60,000.
Professor, what did you put for account receivable?
What's the amount supposed to be?
150.
150.
Okay. Supplies,
5,000.
equipment,
250,000.
then what's gonna come here?
That's the total assets. Yes.
So your accumulated depreciation account should be coming here. And how much is in that account?
40,000.
Accounts payable,
150,000.
notes payable,
215,000.
Yes.
I had 205,000.
y'all better decide what number y'all want.
Uh,
215.
I thought it was 215.
Yes.
Yeah, I had 215 too.
But 215 appears to be the popular number. How much common stock?
200,000.
Sales,
700,000.
cost of goods sold,
120,000.
Then we have what, salary expense? How much is that?
50,000.
We have some depreciation expense.
40,000.
And we have what?
Supplies
Interest
Supplies.
expense, okay.
at 15,000. Then interest expense at 20,000.
Is that it?
We're missing dividends.
So where you gonna put dividends at?
On the retained earnings.
How much were the dividends?
10,000.
Okay, so are we in balance?
I guess. Yes.
Professor, if I created dividends in trial balance, even though everything else is positive over there, is that still?
Say that again.
For my dividends, I did parentheses 10,000 on the credit side.
You don't do that. It's
Okay.
either a debit balance or a credit balance.
Okay.
Your accounts is either debit balance or credit balance.
It's debit.
Those are debit balance. So if we were to do an income statement now, how would that income statement look?
Good.
What's the net income?
Net income 455,000.
So how much did you say?
455,000.
Okay, so 455,000 listed as the net income. So let's see if we can get the 455,000. What's sales?
700,000.
So we don't have any returns and allowances.
No.
What's cost of goods sold?
120,000.
So what's our gross profit?
That should be 580. 700 minus 120. That's 580,000.
Then we need to get these operating expenses in. So we put them in, so we total up these operating expenses. How much are they?
125,000.
All right, I'll take your word for it.
Yes, sir. I'm right.
You're right.
Yes, sir.
So 580 minus 125 is what?
455,000.
Everybody agree with that?
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
So let's do our statement of retained earnings now. What was our beginning retained earnings?
0.
We had net income of what?
455.
455.
Our dividends were what?
10,000.
Our ending retained earnings is what?
445.
Okay, so let's see if we can work with this balance sheet. So the balance sheet is showing those accounts. And we would go ahead and separate these out between current and long term in general, but we won't worry about. Notice that the income statement was sales on down. So the balance sheet is going to be what? Retained earnings up. So we're putting in our assets. Put these in. So this gives me everything except equipment. So I'm gonna come over one for equipment. And we said the equipment was in there at 250,000, right?
Correct.
But it's less to accumulate depreciation. So how much is our accumulate depreciation?
40,000.
So therefore, this is how we net cost that equipment in there at 210. Does everyone see that?
Yes.
Everybody sees that. So we auto sum those assets. Needs more space. Now we need to put these liabilities in. So what are our total liabilities?
365,000.
Then our common stock is how much?
200,000.
Our retained earnings?
445,000.
Even though it was zero, here you always pick up the new retained earnings if you want to balance. So total stockholders' equity was what?
645,000.
So therefore, the total of liabilities and stockholders' equity is what?
Same thing as assets. 1,010,000.
Any question on those three statements that come straight off the trial balance? So getting a balanced trial balance, the income statement, we pull that from sales down. Any question on any of those numbers? Then the balance sheet, we go from retained earnings up, except even though the retained earnings was 0 because this is a new company, close out all of these accounts. These are all of these accounts are temporary retained earnings account. All of these are temporary retained earnings account. Any questions? Okay, we got one more task to do, and what's that?
Closing entries.
We got what?
Closing entries.
What are closing entries?
Close all the temporary accounts and to retain earnings.
So retained earnings at this point is what?
For 45,000.
0.
Oh,
Until these closing entries are made. Yeah, we did a calculation, but on the books right now, we go to T accounts. Retained earnings is 0.
yes.
So you got to get the retained earnings to that number you want. So I just put the closing entries here, but when the closing entries are done and posted, what am I going to see over here?
445,000.
And what else am I going to see?
All the temporary accounts closed.
So every time you make a closing, any journal entry, you got to post it. Every time you make any journal entry, you must post it. There are 4 closing entries. We close out the revenue, we close out the expenses, we close out the net income, then we close out the dividends. So I put them here so you can easily see them. So we're closing out sales. What's the journal entry going to be? What's my journal entry?
700,000.
Yeah.
And what's my second closing entry?
The expense.
For number 2?
Yep.
125,000. And then as the account summary.
Yeah, the cost of goods.
So we have all of these accounts. Plus we got to close out the COGS account.
Oh, good.
So these amounts are going to come in, copy. And I bring in this 120. So what's the debit to income summary going to be?
45,000.
Take your word for it. And what's closing entry 3?
Net income.
I had stockholders equity. I didn't really know.
Not an account.
Income summary.
Okay. And you notice where I have it. The closing entry for, the amount of that closing entry is always the net income or net loss. So we're going to debit income summary for 455. And what are we gonna credit?
Retained earnings.
And what's our final closing entry?
Dividend.
10,000.
We got closeout dividends. Every. So I'm gonna stop on the problem here, but when you submit it to me, you got to have posted all of these closing entries. Okay? So you got to have the problem all the way complete.
I'm sorry, say it one more time. You said we got a what?
These are journal entries here, they gotta be posted. Anytime you make a journal entry, you post it. And so you did a trial balance of all of those numbers, so you gotta come back in here and put the closing entries now, and everything below this line should have a zero balance. So when I looked at your final trial balance after you post those temporary accounts, all of these accounts are supposed to be zeroed out. And retained earnings is supposed to have what balance? Right now, retained earnings has what kind of a balance?
Debit.
Zero.
And what is this supposed to be after the closing entries?
445,000.
That's what he said. So that's what I want to see once you make your closing entries. That'll help you pull it together. So all you got to do is post them. Well, we'll skip the statement of cash flow since we're getting ready to do it a different way. Are there any questions?
Can we, I mean, for number 14 on problem 1, for the cash flow statement part, for the journal entry or whatever, I know the last part for the loss on sale is a type 6, so we're going part 2, but what about the cash and accumulated depreciation part that was debited? Would they also be in part 2?
Okay, in general, when we make closing entries, when we prepare a statement of cash flow, the only thing going on the indirect method or the method we use is cash.
Yeah.
So that's all that's coming. The amount of the cash in that journal entry is the only thing that's coming. And
Okay.
you know that you've got the correct answer when your change in cash equals the difference between cash at the beginning of the year and cash at the end of the year.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
you have a beginning cash, you got an ending cash change. So you know you got the right answer when that difference is the same.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to have the new students work on a statement of cash flow because we're getting ready to do it a different way. We did it a simple way when we had a few journal entries, but we've got to look at a way to do it when we got 10,000 journal entries. So we'll move to that. But for students doing problem 1, you should have that in there. So is there any question on what I want to see when I review the submission?
Can we have a little longer? Can we do it Tuesday instead of Thursday?
Tuesday instead of
I'm,
Thursday.
I'm just asking. You can say no.
Yeah, can we get more
This,
time, please?
Yes,
it's not, so we have more class, more stuff to do, work, like, we don't have more time like we used to.
Y'all don't.
No. Like, you know, it's not just you log on and then it's simple like that. On that PowerPoint, it got history. That means we got to do a little research a little bit. Like,
It's,
because we
it's
don't know those.
45
I don't know those.
teams. It's 45 of y'all on these teams. Anyway, so y'all want a little more time.
Please.
please.
Can I get put in a group?
Yes, if you check the chat, you're in a group with Raul Reynoso. I'm sorry, Raul. I pronounced your name wrong.
Wait, you said what? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Mr. Jackson, you're in a group with Mr. Reynoso. Rural, I don't know how to pronounce his first name. He's your group leader. Let me see if I can get everybody else in your group. One moment.
You add me in the group chat?
Yes, add your number into the chat. Also, Megan and Dallas and Jonay are also in your group.
So is there anybody who's not in a group who's on here now? Because the group points start on Thursday.
I don't know if they on here, but Jada Harmon and Attire Montgomery, I don't have them in a group.
Have they attended?
No, sir.
Okay, so don't put them in a group. Now, if anybody does not participate in this presentation on Thursday, then you don't include them on the submission. And you need to be thinking about whether you want them to continue in a group. From the other side of it, if you're in a group, you better work. Because as we move down the road, it's a lot of extensive work that every group member has to do. So if you can't do a little bit, if you can't meet with the team and do a little bit, then the team can drop you within the next week or so. And if somebody's not working, then you got to drop them, because after the time frame for dropping has come, then don't come to me when I got these grades based on the performance of each individual, and I'm combining all those performances. When you upset, then it's too late to be upset then. So you got to make a decision within the next 2 weeks. When you present to me what you're making, that's the final group. So you're gonna present to me what you're gonna make, and that's gonna be the final group for the end of the semester. Now, when people get kicked out of groups, they normally fail the course. So you need to make sure that if you're in a group, you work so you don't get kicked out, because it's typically too much information to do on your own at that point. So the groups are to cut the work back, to help you work together to make sure my pass rate is appropriate, is where it needs to be, which is typically in the 70 and 80% range. When I didn't use groups, D's and F's were typically 60% of the grades. So I moved the groups, kind of balanced the work, have people talking and working together. And my pass rates when we were face-to-face were 75 to 80% in this course. Now, when we moved to online, it dropped back to that 50 and 60% because people stopped paying attention, they worked, and they did this, and they didn't perform as they should. So that's why now we're taking attendance, and if your camera is not on, to mean you're not paying attention, so you lose points or you don't get bonus points for that. So that we're tracking points each day for whether your camera is on and you're paying attention. So if your camera is not on, you lose points. If that camera's not on when the group is presenting next class period, the group loses points. So you make sure you talk to these members, where you are. But if everybody in your team does not have their camera on, then your team's gonna lose points. Got it? So you talk to your team members, you tell them what you're about and what you planning on doing, and you see if they're agreeable to it. If they're not agreeable, the next class period you say, well, it didn't work out. This person didn't work out. And enough of these people don't work out. Enough of these people don't have cameras on. We put all the non-camera people in a group by themselves, and we'll see how they do. So you need your camera on, and if people don't have cameras on, then I wonder if they're paying attention on performances. My history is that people who don't have cameras on, highs they get us a C. And sometimes that's because I curved the grade. So you need your camera on, and you need to be engaged. You need to be working with your team if you're going to be successful. But cuts are coming, final cuts are coming. And who got cut today? Cam Newton, former Heisman Trophy winner.
Not for long.
Yeah, but why? The question is, why was he cut?
Young quarterbacks.
He got a washed arm.
Young quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, there are young quarterbacks all over the place, but all of them didn't. Some of them coming in and taking over, others are not. But so we don't know the overall situation, but you got to be on top of your game all the time. So virtually, you got to be on top of your game. People are judging you. I'm looking now, making decisions as I look out there on who's on, who's paying attention, and everything. I'm watching that, and then the performances will reflect that. Now, on your first exam, so when you submit to me on this second time around, it's got to be in Excel, okay? And your first exam is going to be an Excel spreadsheet, which you will return to me. And there'll be many, many versions. So just to let you know, and I'll send out a spreadsheet on which version is yours. Then you have to turn that version of the problem into me. It will be in Excel. It will cover what we're doing now. And they're kind of like A exams and B exams and C exams. Because I look at your homework and quiz you up a little bit, I'll see where you go. So the A exams are always a little bit harder though. Sometimes a lot harder. But Dominique says she wouldn't have it any other way. Isn't that right, Dominique?
No, sir. I did not say that.
You didn't say that.
No, sir. See, what you'll be doing is people that have already taken your class, you'll be assuming that we automatically remember. And yes, some of it we do. Some of it is simple. So we do remember, but then some of it is a little in depth. So we don't remember,
You're
and you
not
can
coming back to
or
work.
exam
You don't
early
want
in the semester
to exam
instead of
because you're good at
training
what.
like everybody else.
So make sure you're doing your own work, because I look at that. I look at what you sent in, and I use that to determine which exam you're getting. And if you want to be an A student, just let me know. He is open to everybody. Right, Jennifer?
First off, you played me last semester. I wanted to be an A student, and then you were literally tripping. You're like, you can't be an A student, Jennifer. And I was like, what the heck? But I'm gonna try to be it this semester. I promise. Okay.
I say you couldn't be an A student.
Yes, because I had like an 86, and you were tripping. You're like, no, you're not an A student. I'm like, wow. But it's okay. It's cool. I don't hold grudges or anything.
This is a new year now. Everybody can be an A student. So if you want to be an A student, just let me know.
Okay.
But what we did today, you got the bay to do it, okay? Now, study the chart of accounts in terms of normal balances. Study the chart of account in terms of normal balances, because I'm going to give you a heads up. You won't have to make journal entries and you won't have to post to the ledger, but I'm going to give you an alphabetical listing of the accounts and balances. And then you're going to have to create a trial balance. So you won't have to, so I don't want the overall detail. So you don't have to make any journal entries. You don't have to post to the ledger, but you got to be able to create a trial balance from the accounts I give to you. Got it? So you got to study and understand what you're doing.
Are we posting the PowerPoint to Blackboard?
Yep, I have something in there for it to come in. So in assignments, so everything comes in assignments. Any other questions? Okay, well, let me just say I'm impressed right now, especially with my new students. They've done better than any new students I've had in a long time. So that's a good thing. I'm feeling good. I hope you all are feeling good. But a lot of times, with new students, they say, well, hey, I don't have all of this, and they try to depend on other people. But, you all as a group are trying to, in general, just trying to go ahead and learn this yourself. So that's a good thing.
I say as long as you keep them tutoring sessions, I think I'll be solid. I think I speak for everybody for that.
As long as we have a tutoring session. Okay, so when is our next tutoring session? When do we need another one?
Was it Thursday?
On Friday, isn't it?
You said tomorrow.
Friday or Monday? Fridays or Mondays?
You said tomorrow.
Fridays and Mondays.
Since you got okay, so we got to get that problem done correctly. So I guess we'll be on tomorrow at 5:30. So we'll just see.
You don't have to.
Because you got to make sure you can finish up this problem, because it's going to be the starting point of your first exam. And the things that we're doing now that carry all the way through.
Yeah, I'm starting to get it.
Say what?
I'm starting to get it.
You starting to get it? Okay. So
Yes,
next
sir.
class period will be relaxed and everything. You just make your, all y'all used to making presentations, throw a little bit of stuff out there. So y'all good at doing that. So that's gonna be one of the easiest class periods y'all gonna have. I can tell you that now. So enjoy Thursday. Well, I'm just saying. I mean, when it's gonna be nice and easy, you better be enjoying it, because eventually, in a week or so, we're gonna be in cost accounting, and it's gonna be a managerial accounting. It'll be a whole new world. Because see, right now we're selling shoes, but we're gonna have to make some shoes. Who's that making? Was that Dallas? Were you the one who makes shoes?
Say that again, Professor.
Make shoes?
Yes, I did not shoes.
So Dallas is gonna know firsthand, the issues in when you have to make something. See, when you just buy something, you just say, debit, inventory, credit purchases. But now you got to buy raw materials, hire workers, and make the product. So that's what we actually will begin to do. And so that becomes a little more of a challenge. But you all will be able to handle it. So we'll do a little bit break, get into these fraudulent companies and statement of cash flow. Then we'll have a nice little first part of the day where everybody will have a picture of what they're making. So they'll have a little model of what they're making in there. So we'll see what everybody's making. And then if COVID is down, we may go to campus for the last day of class so everybody can bring what they made to school. So we'll be hopeful that that can happen, but if not, somebody will have to bring it by my office. Because when I grade the final project, I'm looking at that project itself. Okay, so for those who are interested, 5:30 tomorrow, and I'm just trying to think, Dominic, how much time we need? We don't want to go past the weekend, do we?
With what? With journal entries?
Now you're talking about we needed more time or something.
Oh, I was saying more time for that group presentation that you were saying for Thursday.
Oh no more time for that. That's easy.
Professor, I have
But
a question. I'm sorry.
more than just me asked for more time on that.
But they were asked for times on the problem.
No, we already talked about the problem at the beginning of class. Right now, we were talking about the group presentation that you want us to do on Thursday that you just told us about today. The presentation, that PowerPoint that's on Blackboard have like background information and stuff like that. And you were saying it's like 4 or 5 of us to a group, but that's
Y'all
still.
no, we can't. That backs us back too much.
We
And
can't do it.
no, because I know the timing we need on certain things. That's not a right or wrong answer on Thursday. There is no right or wrong answer. You just got to present. Okay, so that's easy, you in terms of the grading. So don't overstress on it. Just go and do it. Okay. How long did it take to do a PowerPoint slide? Give everybody a slide. Y'all got 4 and 5 people. You only need 4 slides. Give everybody a slide. Well, go ahead and work through it. That's not going to take you long. Do a PowerPoint slide. But I know the timing I need to use, and there's some times I meet just with the teams and things like that. We're not having class. So I've already got all of that built in. And the fraudulent country report is not a big deal. Okay, so that's not a big deal. So do it, get it done. You'll see it's not a big deal. Anything else for the good of the cause? All right, so teams will be presenting next class period. That's all we're doing. And then we'll do a little bit on statement of cash flow at the end. But teams are presenting next class period. I see those who are here at 5:30 tomorrow. Y'all have a good evening.
You too, sir.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. Bye.
Good night.
Everybody.
Good night.
Have a good one.